Welcome to NTD News Today.
Here are today's top stories.
Reactions to Colorado taking former President Trump off the ballot. We bring you the latest.
More states are trying to follow suit after Colorado blocked former President Trump from the ballot. See what Democrats in California are planning.
10 Americans gain their freedom from Venezuelan prisons, and a fugitive will be extradited to the U.S. Here are the details of a new prisoner swap by the Biden administration.
Germany is the latest nation to consider joining a naval coalition led by the U.S. However, it has to go through certain steps before deploying.
Protests erupt in Argentina over President Milei's recent actions to transform the economy. More on his decree signed yesterday, bringing over 300 economic deregulation measures.
And if you're still looking for a last-minute Christmas gift, we'll showcase a variety of products from the new Middletown department store in New York to help you choose the perfect present.
This is NTD News Today, live from our NTD Global Headquarters. Here are Stephania Cox and Chris Beers.
More presidential candidates are now responding to an unprecedented court ruling in Colorado.
Justices there decided that former President Trump can't be on the ballot for the 2024 presidential election. They cited the 14th Amendment and alleged involvement in an insurrection.
Republican candidate Nikki Haley criticized the ruling while on Fox News.
And the idea that we would go and say, just because these liberal justices don't like him, they want to take him off the ballot, that's not a democracy. That's not who we are. That's not what we need to do.
I think the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, should overturn the decision and return the decision to the voters. I think it's the wrong move to remove him from the ballot for those reasons, because he hasn't been convicted of insurrection, hasn't been charged with it.
New Jersey Governor Christie previously said Trump should be kept from being president again, but these decisions, according to Christie, should be made by voters, not by courts.
And former Attorney General Bill Barr called the ruling a hyper-aggressive position. He told CNN the court is stretching the law and that its actions are counterproductive.
I strongly oppose Donald Trump for the Republican nomination, but I think that this case is legally wrong and untenable. Are counterproductive. They backfire. As you know, he feeds on grievance, just like a fire feeds on oxygen, and this is going to end up as a grievance that helps him.
Democratic presidential candidate Dean Phillips also criticized the ruling. The congressman says he does believe Trump inspired an insurrection and that he did nothing to stop it.
But Phillips makes clear he thinks it's still wrong to ban him from the ballot without a conviction, and that the Supreme Court should intervene. Meanwhile, on a federal level, Special Counsel Jack Smith is trying to prove that Trump wanted to overturn the 2020 election. To do so, Smith is asking the Supreme Court to rule that presidential immunity doesn't apply to Trump in the federal election case. Trump's lawyers filed papers yesterday saying they don't want the Supreme Court to make that ruling at this time.
That's because Smith is skipping a federal appeals court in D.C. by directly asking the Supreme Court.
Trump's lawyers argue Smith should follow standard procedure and not rush the process by skipping the D.C. court. Similar efforts are underway in other states to block former President Trump from the primary ballot. This is after the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to take Trump off the ballot.
The Colorado court cited Trump's alleged role in the January 6th breach of the U.S. Capitol. The former president says the Colorado ruling is politically motivated. His attorneys have said they will appeal the decision to the U.S. Supreme Court.
In California, the lieutenant governor wrote a letter to the Secretary of State. She asked her to, quote, explore every legal option to remove Trump from the state's 2024 presidential primary ballot.
A proposed bill in New York would require removing an insurrectionist from the ballot. And in Pennsylvania, State Senator Art Haywood has also asked Secretary of State Al Schmid to disqualify Trump from the 2024 ballot.
In an emailed statement to the Epoch Times, Schmidt said Pennsylvania's election code does not give him the authority. He said the question could only be answered by the courts.
And here to discuss the political fallout of the Colorado Supreme Court's decision is political commentator Roger Simon. He's the author of a new book coming out in January called American Refugees and the director of the series The Presidential Roller Coaster 2024 on Epic TV. Roger, we've now seen each of Trump's competitors come out with statements about his Colorado ruling, which you've said are mostly tepid responses. How so?
Well, there's a level of hypocrisy going on here. I think that deep down, these people would love to see Trump off the ballot, but they know they can't say that because this is a ridiculous decision by the Supreme Court of Colorado. Therefore, they're kind of like trapped in the middle here. Actually, the Colorado court may have done Trump a favor by seeming so ridiculous.
Interesting. I want to check especially about Vivek Ramaswamy's response. He was the boldest and most against the ruling. What do you think about that specifically?
Well, I think it was a very intelligent move by Vivek Ramaswamy to come out and say that he wouldn't compete if this ruling held, because actually it showed the hypocrisy of his opponents. And it was a smart political move, but it also was true. I mean, he shouldn't do that. None of them should do that. This was ridiculous. Of course, by now, it's sort of evident that Trump will appear on the ballot, I would guess. But nevertheless, Ramaswamy stepped in quite early and did an intelligent thing for his campaign.
And some of the legal analysis so far has predicted that the U.S. Supreme Court is likely to overturn this ruling. But even if they don't, or even if they somehow don't consider this ruling, Colorado's Republican Party has said they're intending to switch to the caucus system instead if the ruling stands. How do you think that might affect election dynamics and people's perceptions and engagement in the election process?
Well, not very much, really, because of several points. Trump is probably going to win virtually every primary, whether it's a caucus or not, or a primary. Secondly, Colorado went, I think, 14 points for Biden last time. So it would be nothing short of a miracle if Colorado actually went for Trump in the general election. So the whole thing has a level of charade in it.
And
on the other hand,
you mentioned, it's not likely to stand, it seems, at least at this point. So, just looking at the current state of things, keeping in mind that it may change, what do you think this ruling signals in terms of, or what effect could it have on national unity? Because some people may be feeling disenfranchised by this decision.
Many will, but here's the other thing. If the Supreme Court comes in and rules against it, and some are saying they should do it unanimously, we'll see what happens. I think it will quiet down the numerous other states, even California, that are acting as if they might try a similar suppression of what I call in my piece for Epoch Times, not a banning, but a cancellation, because this is really canceling, not banning.
Yes, indeed. That's what some commentators are saying. It does look to be like it's certainly not allowing him to go forward in the usual fashion. Now that we're looking at the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court examining this issue, what do you think, what factors could come into play in terms of, obviously they'll be comparing it based on the Constitution, but many people also acknowledge that they may be taking into account the political climate, public opinion, and all of these types of things in the context of the decision that they're making. What kinds of factors do you think that they'll be considering at this point?
Well, that's always a mystery, because I'm not a real court watcher, but to the extent that I am, one of the things that we're always wondering about the court is to what extent they're taking in politics and public opinion, and to what extent the law. There are numerous cases where people are complaining on both sides of that. And in this issue, the political implications are obviously huge. And to say that they won't take them into consideration, I think is hypocritical. I'm sure they will. They're human beings after all, and they realize that the situation is explosive. I mean, that's what legal analyst Jonathan Turley said, that this is sort of like it's throwing a match on a fire, and it really is.
Yeah, thank you so much, Roger Simon. Always great to speak with you.
Great to be here.
Next up, voters in Colorado are sharing their thoughts on the state Supreme Court's ruling. Take a look.
This coffee shop in Douglas County, Colorado goes by the simple name of coffee. And it's here where we have a simple question for customers.
Tell me your gut feeling. Do you think it's a good thing the Colorado Supreme Court did that, or not a good thing?
I'm not the biggest fan of Trump, but I don't think people should be taken off the ballot necessarily.
This man is a political independent in a very Republican county. So here in the county seat of Castle Rock, it's easy to find loyal Trump Republicans who feel the same as this man.
What do you think of the Supreme Court decision?
I think it's unfair.
How come?
Government shouldn't get in that position to control votes for certain candidates.
But we did find this Democrat who says that's precisely what this court needed to do.
I think it's a great decision. I think that when you try to overturn an election, you don't get to run again. We have a 14th Amendment for a reason.
Back inside coffee, loyal Trump supporter Tony Klanaris doesn't take this decision seriously. She thinks the Supreme Court taking Trump off the primary ballot is a result of game playing.
Why do you think they're playing a game and not doing their job?
They're part of the game.
And what's that game?
Not being honest.
But you think that Trump has been honest?
For the most part, yeah.
Her friend concurs, saying that she feels
outraged, absolute outrage.
Why were you outraged?
They're going to take away our choice based on their personal beliefs, because I don't believe they're speaking for the people.
But Elle Gray believes the justices are. She's an independent who has voted for Donald Trump, but says she won't be voting for him again if he ends up back on the ballot.
I agree with their ruling that he engaged in insurrection, yes.
So do you think it was the right thing to do?
For my state, yes.
Keith Raymond has voted for Donald Trump twice, but says this time around he's supporting Christie. His opinion is more nuanced.
It's a complicated issue, but if the law is the law and the Supreme Court is stating it, we have to abide by it. Doesn't mean I'm a fan of it.
Many Coloradans are still digesting the court ruling. The varied opinions in this shop about Donald Trump, symbolic of countless discussions in this state and this country. Kelsey Nistel is a Democrat.
I think that what he did was unacceptable for our country, and he should have faced the consequences for that.
Jake Herman is a Republican.
I think if that was a legitimate thing that happened, if he was part of an insurrection, he would have been arrested. He wasn't arrested.
Some Trump supporters say instead of picking another candidate, they would write Trump's name on the ballot.
But under the court's ruling, a write-in vote for Trump would not count. Over to the lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani. A D.C. judge says the two former Georgia election workers can immediately try to collect the awarded money from the former New York City mayor.
Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss were awarded a combined $148 million in the defamation case. Typically, they would have to wait 30 days to collect. The judge's ruling comes after Giuliani reportedly refused to reveal his net worth and stated repeatedly that he was broke. The judge dismissed that claim. He said it was hard to square with the fact that Giuliani could afford a spokesperson who joined him daily to trial.
Attorneys for Freeman and Moss have identified assets Giuliani holds in New York and Florida. The women sued Giuliani over accusations of election fraud in the 2020 presidential election. They say it caused them emotional distress and reputational harm. Coming up, the White House is stepping into the address to address the two rail closures at the Texas border. This as record numbers of illegal immigrants continue to cross the border.
And New York City's John F. Kennedy International Airport is expanding. The $4.9 billion project is part of a nationwide effort to improve America's airports. More in just a moment here on NTD News Today.
Right now, all over the country, kids at Shriners Hospitals for Children are able to go home and be with their families for the holidays. And it's only possible because of the monthly support of people just like you.
Thanks to a generous donor, every dollar you give can help twice as many kids like me and have double the impact.
With your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you, and a reminder of the care you'll be providing so kids can be with their families.
Christmas Eve will find me where the love light gleams.
It only takes a moment to call the number on your screen, or you can visit loveshriners.org right now on your phone or computer.
Thanks to a generous donor, your gift will go twice as far and help more kids like me.
Because every child just wants to be home for the holidays, and your gift makes that possible.
Your call is the best gift of all.
Your gift will be my favorite Christmas present this year.
Thank you for giving.
Please call the number on your screen or go online right now with your monthly gift.
And when you do, your gift will have 2 times the impact.
Anyone who's ever sold a home will tell you it's really hard. And it's one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. That's why who you work with matters. Together with HomeLight, we take care of every detail.
It's a painting that is peaceful. There's a lot of beauty in it. And you forget about whatever you might be worried about.
Got a new house.
Place that I call home.
10 Americans imprisoned in Venezuela have been released. The United States freed a close ally of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in exchange for letting them go. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on the deal.
Maduro's ally who was released is Alex Saab, a Colombian businessman who was granted clemency by President Biden and sent back to Venezuela. Prosecutors accused Saab of siphoning off some $350 million from Venezuela via the United States in a scheme that involved bribing Venezuelan government officials. He denies the charge and has not yet been convicted in the U.S. The U.S. also demanded the return of a fugitive defense contractor known as Fat Leonard as part of the deal. Leonard Glenn Francis pleaded guilty to scamming the U.S. Navy out of millions of dollars. He escaped from house arrest in September 2022 after cutting off an ankle bracelet, but was captured by authorities in Venezuela weeks later. Some of the freed Americans have already landed at a military base in San Antonio, Texas. Evan Hernandez says he was subjected to psychological mistreatment.
So they keep you there in inhumane conditions, and they make your life a living hell.
Savoy Wright says he's very grateful to the United States of America and for all the love and warm faces.
Free at last, thank God Almighty, free at last.
Special Presidential Envoy for Hostage Affairs Roger Carstens says one of the most important things the United States government does is protect the safety and security of U.S. citizens.
Especially when they're overseas, and especially when they're taken either hostage or they're wrongfully detained by another country.
Carstens adds that there are no more Americans left in Venezuela that are being held in the prison facilities. President Biden says it was fine to negotiate with President Maduro's government because it freed American people held illegally.
We made a deal with Venezuela at the whole free election.
3 of the released Americans had been accused of trying to enter Venezuela illegally. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
The White House says it's working with Mexico to resolve the 2 rail closures at the Texas border. The railway has seen a growing number of migrants train hopping to enter the U.S. illegally. A spokesperson also said the White House will, quote, surge personnel to the region.
This comes as daily encounters with illegal immigrants at the border are set an all-time record this week. Over 12,800 apprehensions were reported on Monday. That's according to an internal U.S. Border Patrol report. Monthly encounters are also on pace to set a new record with 190,000 encounters in December so far. That's an average of 10,000 a day this month.
Some of those released into the U.S. were given appointments with ICE up to 8 years away. Fox News obtained an immigration notice to a Colombian migrant to check in at a New York location in 2031.
Major farm groups sent a sharply worded letter to DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas yesterday. It said the crossing would easily be reopened. The groups say the trade route closures are causing steep export losses to growers. They assess the bridges could be run with as few as 5 employees per crossing. The Justice Department announced a lawsuit yesterday against a Texas-based developer and lender. The suit accuses a development outside of Houston of running a predatory scam. It allegedly targeted tens of thousands of Hispanic borrowers with misleading and false advertisements on social media platforms like TikTok. As a result, the DOJ says unsuspecting consumers were locked into loans they couldn't afford. The developer is known as Colony Ridge. Officials said the company steered applicants into seller-financed loans and took advantage of applicants' limited English proficiency to close deals. The suit marks the first predatory mortgage lending case ever brought by the DOJ.
Switching gears now for some short business headlines. TikTok's parent company, Chinese tech giant ByteDance, has admitted it's using OpenAI's technology to a limited extent to develop its own AI models. Coming up, OpenAI owns ChatGPT. ByteDance's admission came after OpenAI said it suspended ByteDance's account over questions about how its GPT data was being used.
A ByteDance spokesperson says the company is, quote, licensed by Microsoft to use the GPT application programming interfaces. The Verge reported ByteDance is secretly using OpenAI's technology to train its own large language models, in violation of OpenAI's terms of service. ByteDance's ChatGPT tool is called Doubao.
The company says it uses only its own self-developed AI model to power Doubao, which is available only in China. And an Australian court has fined Airbnb millions of dollars over misleading pricing in that country. The company admitted in court to making false or misleading representations to roughly 63,000 Australian customers between 2018 and 2021.
For those customers, the prices were in US dollars and not in Australian dollars, which are worth less than the greenback. Although the 15 million Australian dollar fine, an Airbnb was also ordered to pay another 15 million to compensate customers. In total, the fines come out to around 20 million US dollars.
Customers eligible for compensation will be contacted by Airbnb by early February of next year. Toyota is recalling about 1 million vehicles over a potential problem with the passenger airbag.
The recall covers 15 Toyota and Lexus models, including the Camry, Sienna, and RAV4, as well as Lexus RX 350 and ES 350. The model years are between 2020 and 2022.
Toyota says a sensor in the recalled vehicles could short circuit. The sensor helps identify whether the person sitting in the front passenger seat is an adult or a child based on weight.
Toyota says because of the possible glitch, the airbag may not deploy in certain kinds of crashes. The company will notify owners of the recalled vehicles by the middle of February.
Bird, the electric scooter rental company found in many U.S. cities, filed for bankruptcy protection yesterday. The Chapter 11 filing will allow Bird to sell off its U.S. assets in the next 3 to 6 months.
The company was founded in 2017 and went public in 2021. It called itself the largest micro-mobility operator in North America. The e-scooter company was one of the fastest startups ever to reach $1 billion valuation. At its peak, Bird is said to have operated scooter and bicycle sharing operations in 350 cities worldwide.
But Bird's losses piled up as the company focused more on growth and market share than profitability. It was delisted from the New York Stock Exchange in September after Bird admitted it had overstated its revenue for the past 2 years. A descendant of Europe's richest family is reportedly planning to leave his gardener at least half of his roughly $13 billion fortune.
Wow. An 80-year-old Nicolas Puech is a fifth-generation descendant of the founder of French luxury goods company Hermes. He wanted to cancel a contract that would bequeath his fortune to the Isocrates Foundation, which he founded, and instead make his employee a legal heir.
The inheritance contract reportedly provides for Puech's share in Hermes to be left to the foundation. That is, unless he becomes a father. In that case, his child would be entitled to a part of the inheritance and at least 50% if he has a son. New York City's John F. Kennedy International Airport is constructing a new terminal.
The $4.9 billion project is part of a nationwide effort to renovate and modernize U.S. airports.
NTD's Andrew Thomas has more on the latest addition to one of the busiest airports in the country.
JFK has become the poster child for chaotic, neglected infrastructure. More than 62 million passengers flew through JFK in 2019. Now, JFK Millennium Partners is building the new Terminal 6.
And it's been led by Governor Hochul and Rick Cotton, the executive director of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. They've invested $19.5 billion to reconstruct JFK.
U.S. airports are estimated to need about $151 billion for overdue renovations. Last year, a consortium called New Terminal 1 secured $9 billion in financing for JFK. The unusual private-public transaction was part of a broader $15 billion overhaul of the airport.
As you can see behind me, you can look at the construction that's underway. That is our Phase 1 construction, and it is on time and on budget. We are raising the steel.
The deal included a $6.5 billion bank loan, the largest ever for an airport terminal. The unusual financing package could encourage other public-private partnerships for airport terminal projects.
The Port Authority spends public dollars on the basic infrastructure of the airport, the roads, the garages, electrical infrastructure. But the private partner builds the terminals. And the private partner literally brings every dollar that's spent on the construction of a terminal.
Private investment for JFK has one big drawback: the additional cost for repaying investors. That could raise expenses for airlines. But for now, passengers racing through JFK's busy terminals have something to look forward to.
They want a guest experience in a lounge that attracts that customer, brings them back, and gives them the comfort that the customer expects even before they get on the aircraft. So, for example, we're working with Lufthansa.
Signs in the airport read, "JFK can take you places. The 1990s will no longer be one of them." Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
In Georgia, a man is recovering after being partially buried in a rock quarry for 5 hours earlier this week. He was trapped in a 30-foot deep quarry hopper, which is used to funnel thousands of pounds of gravel to trucks below. The man was buried up to his stomach at the Martin Marietta Materials Facility in Paulding County. Local fire officials called it an extremely complicated rescue effort.
Rescuers had to lower themselves into the hopper on ropes and suction gravel out carefully so they wouldn't trigger a second collapse. The man was conscious and talking throughout the rescue. After being taken out, he was treated for hypothermia, numb legs, and back pain at a hospital. He's now listed in stable condition.
Up next, Poland's new prime minister is taking a public news channel off the air. Find out why the country's president disagrees with the media reform.
And Danish and Swedish workers are striking against Tesla together. We'll have the details on the strike and how long it might last when we return.
Is deep-sea fish oil really healthy? Due to pollution in the oceans, most fish contain heavy metal elements and radioactive substances. That's why it's so important to choose a pure source of omega-3. Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds, which are rich in nutrients and minerals, especially vitamins A, D, E, calcium, and iron. With natural processing and no harmful chemical additives, it has more than 90% concentration of omegas 3, 6, 7, and 9. It effectively improves brain power and is beneficial to the heart's health. Puritan Omega-3 does not smell of fish and contains no pollutants, so both adults and children can safely and easily consume it over a long period of time. Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3. Greener, healthier, and more effective. Visit puritang.com to learn more.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face. And what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home, so we applied it to his under eye bags, and let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view, and now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
Are diapers destroying your confidence? Men's Liberty can help. Our discreet external device is safe, sanitary, and keeps you dry 24 hours, day and night. Step into the spotlight and do more of what you love with Men's Liberty. It's been ordered over 5 million times by thousands of satisfied fans. Call now to get a free week supply with your first order. There's no obligation, just the opportunity to try the most revolutionary solution to incontinence ever made. Unlike diapers, Men's Liberty is a long-term answer to dealing with incontinence. Make the choice to finally move forward with your life by calling Men's Liberty today. We'll answer all of your questions about how our completely unique device works and how Medicare can cover it. Dealing with expensive, uncomfortable diapers is no way to live. Men's Liberty lets you get back out there with more freedom and confidence to be you. Ready to find out more about our offer to get a free week supply? Then don't wait. Call Men's Liberty today.
I'm David Lamb in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we are NTD News.
And now for a shift in gears, we have some short headlines from the UK, Germany, and other European countries. Germany might join a US-led naval coalition to combat attacks in the Red Sea. The US announced building the coalition earlier this week.
That's after attacks by Yemen's Houthi group, which is backed by Iran. Here's a spokesperson for Germany's government commenting on the plan.
We have clearly said that we are looking into whether there is an option so that Germany would possibly participate. Everything beyond that is hypothetical. Also, this is a parliamentary army, which means a mission requires the parliament's approval.
The health minister of France announced his resignation on Wednesday. This comes a day after France's parliament gave its final approval on a toughened immigration bill.
The approved bill would delay access to housing benefits for unemployed non-EU immigrants by 5 years. President Emmanuel Macron faced cracks within his ruling alliance on Wednesday after the bill's passage.
French conservatives, however, argue welfare systems should be reserved for French people only. Poland's new Prime Minister, Donald Tusk, took a public news channel off the air and dismissed executives from state media.
He says the move restores impartiality, Left-leaning Tusk implemented the media reform just days after taking over the role as prime minister.
Poland's president now says the reforms amount to anarchy.
Anarchy is circumventing the current law in a situation when the change of that law could be possible in a normal way, based on the current constitution. And while having the majority in the parliament, this is lawlessness. It's a flagrant violation of law.
A U.S. scientist wanted to register patents over inventions created by his artificial intelligence system. However, he lost the bid in a landmark case in Britain about whether AI can own patent rights.
Britain's Intellectual Property Office first ruled that the inventor must be a human or a company rather than a machine. The scientist later appealed to the UK Supreme Court, which unanimously rejected his appeal yesterday. The court also says the inventor must be a natural person.
Some Danish and Swedish workers are striking against Tesla. Danish dock workers and truck drivers are joining Swedish mechanics in the strike.
Tesla is facing backlash from unions and some pension funds in the Nordic region. That's because the U.S. carmaker refuses to accept a demand for collective bargaining rights.
The chairman of the Danish labor union involved says the conflict will last until an agreement is reached with Tesla. Argentina's President Javier Milei is taking his plan to transform Argentina's economy to the next level. The new libertarian president signed a decree yesterday with over 300 economic deregulation measures. Here's Milei after signing the decree.
The decree of necessity and urgency that we are presenting today is intended to begin the process of economic regulation that Argentina so badly needs in order to start growing.
He went on to set out the list. It includes an end to limits on exports and moves to loosen regulations. There are also plans to privatise state-owned companies. Since taking office earlier this month, Milei has vowed to deliver on a promise of shock therapy for the economy. That will include deep spending cuts to help tame triple-digit inflation. His government has also devalued Argentina's peso currency by over 50% in a bid to help exporters. The Libertarian won power on a pledge to end the country's long economic slump and root out corruption. He wants to slash bureaucracy and shrink the state. It's already clear that that process won't come without drama.
Coming up, if you're still looking for a last-minute Christmas gift, we'll showcase a variety of products from a new department store in upstate New York. It may help you choose the perfect present. We'll return with that and more after this break.
Anyone who's ever sold a home will tell you it's really hard. And it's one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. That's why who you work with matters. Together with HomeLight, we take care of every detail.
Hi, I'm Susan Lucci. I never thought about heart disease until I had my own heart event. I had heard many times that heart disease is the #1 killer. It went in one ear and out the other, frankly. I never had a health issue. I felt this slight pressure on my chest, just slight. But a few days later, while shopping at a boutique, that pressure returned, much stronger. By the time I got to the ER, the doctor decided to give me a CAT scan. He said, "I don't think you understand. You are on the verge of a heart attack." I had a 90% blockage in my main artery and a 75% blockage in the adjacent artery. I received 2 stents in my arteries, stents developed through research funded by the American Heart Association. Those stents saved my life. That's why I'm in front of you today, asking you to join me in supporting the American Heart Association by becoming a monthly donor. Call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, your support now can help save your life or the life of someone you love. With you by our side, together we'll keep fighting this battle. Give $19 a month with your credit card, and we'll send you this special t-shirt that you can wear to show that you are helping save lives. I'm so grateful to the American Heart Association. Their research helped save my life. Put yourself on your to-do list. It could be the most important thing you ever do. Please, listen to your heart. The only reason I'm here today is because I did. So please call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org now. Join me as a monthly donor today and help save even more lives. Thank you.
Say goodbye to harsh, bitter coffee and hello to a delicious, smooth brew. With specialty quality beans, expertly roasted in-house, you'll taste the difference with every sip. Fermented with a blend of 50 enzymes, Days Coffee delivers a rich brew like no other. Made with the highest grade specialty beans available, you're sure to taste the difference. Elevate your morning with Days Enzyme Fermented Coffee.
Welcome back. If you're still looking for last-minute Christmas gifts, a department store in Middletown, upstate New York, brings a list of the best choices. Here's NTD's Kevin Hogan.
We have a special segment for you as Christmas time nears. Let's learn what makes a quality product and where you can find it, and get some tips on how to choose the perfect gift for your friends and family. Joining me now for some insight into this is Sammy Song, the Director of Marketing at the new Middletown department store. Sammy, thanks for making it down here. That's a little ways from Middletown.
Oh, Kevin, thank you for having me.
Yes, and so can you give us some strategies on the best tips to find these deals?
Sure. So personally, for myself, I would follow the brands that I like. I would go on their website and subscribe to their newsletter and follow their social media so I can stay up to date on their latest offers and deals. A second tip I would like to share with everyone is sometimes when I go online shopping, I would actually leave the products in my cart for 1 to 2 days before checkout, because usually I would get actually a further discount from the company and they know that I'm interested. And the third tip actually is to plan ahead the shopping. So either before the holiday or after the holiday, where a lot of stores, they would actually bring the prices back to normal. So those are the 3 tips I would like to share with you.
That takes a lot of patience. How do you muster that and get yourself in that mode where you can just wait and just hold on, and because you want to buy it right now?
Yeah, I think for women shoppers, we know all the tips. It's worth waiting and planning it strategically.
Yeah, and I know we have a lot of products here. I want to get to all of them. First, what makes a quality product?
I believe a quality product always has a meaning behind it. A lot of heart has to be put from the beginning of the product, such as when a designer has an idea in her mind, to the process of making it, to finally delivering the product to the new owner. I think there are so many steps involved in this process, and every step is just as important as the next one.
Yeah, because there's so much more beyond just the actual material product that is produced in the end. It could be whether there were ethical or unethical practices involved in the making of it, right?
That's right. With the new Middletown department store, actually we would locally choose products, hand-picked products, and from the locally sourced farms to an international market from Europe, Asia, United States. So even our whole team, even our CEO, would go and carefully choose the products that we think have the characteristic of that country, and also it's ethical made.
Yeah, those are great links that you all go to make sure that people have a good feeling about what they're actually buying. Sammy, we have so many products here. I want you to start telling us about these.
This is a leather collection. Our premium leather collection actually used the leather from Spain and Italy, and these are actually for women and men that appreciate quality and craftsmanship. So we can start with this a passage in time men's briefcase. This design is very unique because it draws the inspiration from the Han Dynasty fashion, where the women and men would wear color that is left over right, representing heaven over earth. And next to it, we also have the Tang Dynasty Grace leather collection. This is also one of our most popular leather collection. So this is a crossbody. It's very versatile. You can wear it as a carry bag, or it comes with a detachable strap. So you can also wear it as a crossbody.
They just look so functional and durable, along with being a status symbol with all the quality products that are manufactured with these good materials here.
Yes, both collections are actually handcrafted in Spain.
Wow.
The Tang Dynasty Grace leather collection draws the design from the Tang Dynasty dance you sing in Shenyun. You know, this Tang Dynasty Grace silk scarf, it's very beautiful. It's inspired from that Tang Dynasty fashion. We believe that a lot of the attire are inspired by the attire worn in the heavens. So for the Tang maidens, they would wear very long flowing sleeves with a very high neckline above the chest. So this scarf actually is an exact replica of the dress worn by the Shenyun dancers during their performance. Coming back to this leather bag, I want to show you something that's very unique.
That is a nice color blue.
We have in 5 different colors. So you see here, I'm transforming this bag into a different look. So these are actually the designer, you know, took the element from the costume from the Shenyun dance and put it into the design. So this represents the wide sleeves worn by the heavenly maidens. And if I put this in, you can wear a different way.
Yes. Wow, that is really exciting. And there's just so much culture that goes into all these.
Yes, a lot of our customers would share when they know that, oh, that flower represents this or that has a meaning, they were like, oh, we have to get this. Nowhere else have that meaning and beautiful culture which we took from Shenyun and 5,000 years of traditional culture.
Incredible. Okay, Sammy, so show us around.
We also have products for the kids and the whole family, because you know, holidays is the time you gather with your family, and a lot of the grandparents, they told us they would buy this for their grandkids.
Wow.
And they actually spend the time, instead of staying on the tablets or in front of computer, they would sit in front of the Christmas tree and do the pieces together, and also learn the history while doing this 3D puzzle set.
Yeah, it's like education, learning, and having fun. I used to build Legos. Now this is like a really designer set.
Yes, so this is actually from the Tang Dynasty Grand Palace. It's also one of the unique features from the Tang Dynasty architecture, because they use everything from wood. It's a wooden architect, and they don't use any needles.
They don't use nails. Yeah,
no, they don't use nails. That's right.
That is so fascinating how they're able to get it, and it's so robust. I mean, it can withstand all of the elements.
Yeah, I think back in the day, people were so smart.
Yes, you can learn a lot from them too. And so, what else do we have?
Over here is the majestic Tang fine jewelry. So this jewelry set actually is also inspired by the peony flower. The peony flower is the most cherished flower from the Tang Dynasty. It represents dignity and righteousness. So we apply the flower into the design. This whole set, we have a necklace, we have earrings, and we also have a bracelet. So people can choose the different color stone. We think they're very festive for the holidays. So this is one of our special features for the holiday gift sets.
Now I see there are some, looks like some fragrances also.
That's right. So here we have the neck wrap and the eye pillow. So this brand is organically made and it's handcrafted. This helps relieve the neck pain, shoulder pain, back pain, because nowadays people spend a long time in front of the computer, as I just said. So these actually are very easy to apply. You can use it cold or warm, and this has been one of our top sellers. It could be for everyone in the family.
Wow, yeah, give me some good ideas for some gifts here.
Sure.
That's excellent. And what else do we have?
So this one actually We also recently got into the store and has been very well received. You know, there was scientific research from a Japanese scientist. His research shows that water actually has a life. So if you give positive, messages, words, thoughts to the water, it will show beautiful patterns. And if the water receives negative, thoughts, they will show ugly, formations. So similar to this concept, it is believed that crystals also have a positive effect on people. So this water bottle set, they combine the crystals with the water bottle. So a lot of people have shared with us that the water actually tastes better after coming out from this water bottle set.
That is so fascinating, Sammy. And I do remember coming across some studies that showed how when they actually played some Mozart music to water and then froze it, it made these beautiful ice crystals.
That's right.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
Yes.
Anything else for us?
The last one here, since there will be a lot of parties coming up, Christmas parties, New Year parties, so we have a section of non-alcoholic drinks, which are surprisingly one of the best sellers on our second floor at New Middletown. So these non-alcoholic drinks some of them are from Germany, and these ones are from right here in New York. I think a lot of people are paying more attention to their keeping healthy and be aware of their state. Even they still want to keep the festive spirit, but they also want to stay in the shape and stay well. So this actually a whole collection, the non-alcoholic drinks have been very well received.
That is really excellent.
Yeah, this could be for a great gift on the New Year gift.
Good idea. And so where can everyone find more information about all this?
You can come to our store. New Middletown Department Store is located in Middletown downtown, and we open 7 days a week. I have to say you have to come and shop here in person to experience that. Shopping locally and meeting your neighbor and experience yourself what's special about it.
Yeah, and I saw some comments on the website saying that there was some good music when people walked in.
Definitely, people told us they feel the positive energy and the whole environment brings them, warmth and feel welcome and feel like home.
Yeah, Sammy Song, thank you so much for joining us.
And if you have any news tips or feedback for the show, please feel free to email us at news.today@ntd.com.
Does this look familiar? You probably think this is what owning hearing aids would be like. Let me tell you, there's a better way. The Atom by Audion Hearing. The all-new Audion Atom is the world's first wireless charging hearing aid under $100. The Atom comes with an easy-to-use wireless charging dock. Plus, the Atom has a 22% smaller design, so it's nearly invisible when worn in the ear. That's why we have over 250,000 happy customers. Each pair has a 45-day money-back guarantee, so there is zero risk in trying them.
Call 1-800-918-3109. That's 1-800-918-3109. Call 1-800-918-3109 or go to audionhearing.com to get your pair of Audion Atom hearing aids for only $99.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our biggest Christmas sale ever. You get our brand new 6-piece My Towels for only $29.98, or rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper as low as $99.99. Or how about MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $24.98? There's something for everyone. Duvets, quilts, down comforters, body pillows, bolster pillows, and so much more. Well, I know MyPillow products make for the perfect Christmas gifts, so I'm going to extend my money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2024. So go to MyPillow.com now or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you get our 6-piece towels for only $29.98. Or get your very own MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $24.98. It's our biggest Christmas sale ever. Get all your shopping done now while quantities last.
I am so glad you ladies are here. You each have your own rooms. Thank you. Get settled in. I'll call you for dinner. Adopting teen sisters, It's a lot. Girls, you're gonna be late. You want breakfast?
No thanks, we're good.
They're always in their own world.
What'd you get there?
Twice the work. Twice the surprises.
Just try it.
But if you think of it that way, they're also twice as fulfilling.
I think you should ask her yourself.
Is it okay to call you Mom?
Of course you can.
I'm Kelly Wright in New York City, and we are NTD News.
Welcome to NTD News Today.
Here are today's top stories.
Reactions to Colorado taking former President Trump off the ballot. We bring you the latest.
Other states are considering similar options following Colorado's decision. What are they planning?
Negotiations are underway for a new UN resolution, aid for Gaza. Find out what's holding up the vote.
China has a new way to deliver COVID-19 vaccines, an inhalable dry powder that can penetrate deeper and wider into the lungs. But what dangers lurk behind its development?
A surge in gift card scams will tell you what to look out for to avoid becoming a victim.
A century-old talking tree is imparting wisdom to visitors in a Florida garden. We'll bring you more on the fascinating light installation there.
This is NTD News Today, live from our NTD Global Headquarters. Here are Stephania Cox and Chris Beers.
More presidential candidates are now responding to an unprecedented court ruling in Colorado.
Justices there decided that former President Trump can't be on the ballot for the 2024 presidential election. They cited the 14th Amendment and alleged involvement in an insurrection.
Republican candidate Nikki Haley criticized the ruling while on Fox News.
And the idea that we would go and say, just because these liberal justices don't like him, they want to take him off the ballot, that's not a democracy. That's not who we are. That's not what we need to do.
I think the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, should overturn the decision and return the decision to the voters. I think it's the wrong move to remove him from the ballot for those reasons, because he hasn't been convicted of insurrection, hasn't been charged with it.
Former New Jersey Governor Christie previously said Trump should be kept from being president again, but that these decisions, according to Christie, should be made by voters, not by courts.
And former Attorney General Bill Barr called the ruling a hyper-aggressive position. He told CNN the court is stretching the law and that its actions are counterproductive.
I strongly oppose Donald Trump for the Republican nomination, but I think that this case is legally wrong and untenable. Are counterproductive. They backfire. As you know, he feeds on grievance, just like a fire feeds on oxygen, and this is going to end up as a grievance that helps him.
Democratic presidential candidate Dean Phillips also criticized the ruling. The congressman says he does believe Trump inspired an insurrection and that he did nothing to stop it.
But Phillips makes clear he thinks it's still wrong to ban him from the ballot without a conviction, and that the Supreme Court should intervene. Meanwhile, on a federal level, special counsel Jack Smith is trying to prove that Trump wanted to overturn the 2020 election. To do so, Smith is asking the Supreme Court to rule that presidential immunity doesn't apply to Trump in the federal election case. Trump's lawyers filed papers yesterday saying they don't want the Supreme Court to make that ruling at this time.
That's because Smith is skipping a federal appeals court in D.C. by directly asking the Supreme Court.
Trump's lawyers argue Smith should follow standard procedure and not rush the process by skipping the D.C. court. Similar efforts are underway in other states to block former President Trump from the primary ballot. This is after the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to take Trump off the ballot.
The Colorado court cited Trump's alleged role in the January 6th breach of the U.S. Capitol. The former president says the Colorado ruling is politically motivated. His attorneys have said they will appeal the decision to the U.S. Supreme Court.
In California, the lieutenant governor wrote a letter to the Secretary of State. She asked her to, quote, explore every legal option, unquote, to remove Trump from the state's 2024 presidential primary ballot.
A proposed bill in New York would require removing an insurrectionist from the ballot. And in Pennsylvania, State Senator Art Haywood has also asked Secretary of State Al Schmidt to disqualify Trump from the 2024 ballot.
In an emailed statement to the Epoch Times, Schmidt said Pennsylvania's election code does not give him that authority. He said the question can only be answered by the courts. For a look at what's next after the Colorado Supreme Court kicked off Trump off that state's ballot, we're joined by constitutional law attorney for Trump in his civil cases, Jesse Binnall. Jesse, thank you for your time today. Lay out the various ways this case can proceed from here.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And at this point, the case is going to proceed to the United States Supreme Court. The Colorado court took the unusual step of making its decision and then staying it, putting it on hold until Trump's lawyers on this case are able to bring it to the Supreme Court up until January 4th. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a petition brought to the Supreme Court to ask the Supreme Court to consider this, and you're also going to see what's called an application brought to the Supreme Court to say that we're going to need a stay beyond January 4th in order for the Supreme Court to consider this issue. And since the decision involves the primary ballot, at that point I think the Supreme Court is going to really have to expedite matters, because what's happened here is the Colorado Supreme Court has departed from every other court that has considered this issue. Every other court, threw this out on its face, and so I don't think the Supreme Court can say that ballot access laws under the 14th Amendment mean one thing in Colorado and mean another thing in every other state in the country. And so we're going to, I think, have decisive action from the Supreme Court. I expect that it's going to be the decision of the Colorado court is going to be overturned dramatically and resolutely by the United States Supreme Court.
And why do you have that expectation?
Because the decision of the Colorado Supreme Court is legally and factually baseless. Let's actually just start with the facts here. On January 6th of 2021, President Trump asked his supporters to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard. That is not the words of an insurrectionalist. That is First Amendment protected speech, and far less what you get from the left. From people like Chuck Schumer, who say that the justices of the Supreme Court will reap the whirlwind, and suggesting that they have more coming. And so you have also the fact that on that same day, President Trump, on Twitter and Facebook, said that we're the party of law and order, to remain peaceful, and that we're the party that supports law enforcement. Again, nothing that would support insurrection. Then you actually go and you look at the law and the fact that for any number of different reasons, this case is not proper. You cannot bypass due process to have a state Supreme Court kick somebody off the ballot. That just doesn't work. And the 14th Amendment founders, the people who wrote it, specifically accepted the President of the United States from it. They didn't put him in there.
And Jesse, you touched on this briefly, but how quickly can we expect a ruling by the Supreme Court on this?
I suspect that unless the Supreme Court just essentially sends it back, which is within its right to do, without even any arguments, I suspect they're going to act quickly. I suspect they will have quick arguments, and that you're going to see a decision rather quickly, because it would need to be done in advance of the March primary in Colorado.
And do you expect other states to follow suit in Colorado's precedent after their ruling here?
You certainly have a number of hard left bureaucrats and judges in other states that are going to do everything they can to defeat Donald Trump without having to face him at the ballot box. So they're going to be people that try. But the fact is, almost every other court in America that has heard this already, including those from liberal judges and justices, have dismissed it out of hand. Even in Colorado, the 3 dissenting judges were appointed by Democrats. The 4 judges that decided to kick Donald Trump off were also appointed by Democrats. But you have a number of Democratic appointed judges that are just essentially laughing this argument out of court. I think we're going to see more of that. And if we see 1 or 2 more states that try to go along with the Colorado example, I think they're going to face the same result in the Supreme Court as Colorado will.
Jesse, can you talk a bit about the makeup of the Colorado Supreme Court that made this ruling on Trump?
Yeah, so it's made up of 7 justices, all of whom are appointed by Democrats. Colorado has been a blue state for a while now, and so these are justices that are all Democratic, and you had 4 justices that went along with this really extreme decision that decides to put politics in front of the law and just, tosses the American rule of law in the gutter, really. And then you had 3 Democratic justices that dissented, and one that wrote, I think, a very, very powerful dissent about how this violates due process, about how you cannot simply just decide willy-nilly the way that they have what amounts to an insurrection, and without having somebody be convicted of insurrection, just toss them off the ballot. And is far be it from me to agree with Christie often, but as he pointed out here earlier on your show, Donald Trump's never even been charged with insurrection because you can't make the charge against him for it. Yeah. The one time that they've tried to do anything regarding insurrection was in an impeachment where Donald Trump was vindicated. He was acquitted by the United States Senate.
Yeah, that's right. Jesse Banal, constitutional attorney for former President Trump, thank you so much for your insight today. Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
In response to being removed from the Colorado ballot, Trump today denied being an insurrectionist. He wrote on Truth Social, quote, "I'm not an insurrectionist. Crooked Joe Biden is." President Biden yesterday commented on the court ruling and said that Trump certainly supported an insurrection.
And negotiations are underway to avoid another U.S. veto of a new UN resolution on aid for Gaza.
Disagreements over cessation of hostilities and inspection of aid trucks are holding up the vote.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says Gaza is facing a humanitarian catastrophe.
The proposed resolution also calls for exclusive UN monitoring of aid deliveries to Gaza.
The UN would bypass current Israeli inspections of aid entering the Strip. Israeli forces uncovered a network of tunnels running under central Gaza City Wednesday.
Israel says the tunnels were beneath properties registered to Yahya Sinwar and other senior Hamas leaders. More than 60 feet below ground, the tunnels were outfitted with electricity, plumbing, surveillance cameras, and heavy blast doors.
The Israeli military accuses Hamas of deliberately placing tunnels and other military infrastructure among civilians.
Iraq said on Thursday it had sent a fuel tanker to Egypt to help alleviate shortages in the Strip. An Iraqi government advisor said the tanker is carrying 2.6 million gallons of fuel.
And turning now to college campuses and the rise in anti-Semitism since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas. Epoch Times reporter Darlene Sanchez says there's more to this phenomenon than first meets the eye. She's been digging deep on this issue of anti-Semitism on college campuses, and we spoke with her for more insights. Darlene Sanchez, you've been delving deep on this issue of anti-Israel protests on colleges. What links have experts that you've spoken with drawn between this sentiment on college campus currently and the education system more broadly?
Yes, thank you for having me on your show. Whenever I've spoken with experts about this, and I've done a lot of reporting on diversity, equity, and inclusion on college campuses, the experts I spoke with say it is directly tied to these DEI. You'll hear that pretty frequently called DEI on campus. It's tied to that because diversity, equity, and inclusion, it sounds nice, but really it's a euphemism for a Marxist ideology, much like critical race theory, okay, that we heard about in K through 12. Well, in the college level, it is DEI, and it basically teaches that there are classes of oppressors and classes of victims, and that the United States is an oppressor, Israel is an oppressor, because it's tied to the United States. And the victims are usually minority groups.
And what are there direct links between Marxism and DEI?
The direct links, actually, there is, because of critical race theory. Critical race theory, you know, you've heard people, actually, there'll be people in the media say it doesn't exist, or it's only taught at college level classes in law schools, right, or in pre-law. And that is true, it is taught there, and that was an appropriate place for it. But what's happened is it is actually metastasized and spread itself throughout the entire culture of campuses, from the classes that are taught to the social atmosphere on campus, to where you can't even say the wrong thing. For example, if you misgender someone, you could get in trouble or even kicked off campus. And yet you can do other things. Obviously, they allow people to march and say that, you know, the Jews must be annihilated.
So where did this Marxist coloring of the education system begin, based on your research?
Actually, there was, I believe it was called, there was a group of Marxists that were in Europe that came over, and I believe they settled into Columbia University. And when they were at Columbia University, they started into the critical race theory.
Now, some of the people that you've spoken with have experienced the brunt of this anti-Israel rhetoric and violence on college campuses. What kinds of solutions have been put forward? What do you think could work, or what have the experts and people that you've spoken with think could work?
I spoke with a professor at Cornell University, and he has been sounding the alarm on DEI for a long time. He says, you know, DEI needs to be dismantled. The colleges have went too far. Basically, the inmates are running the asylum, so to speak, and you know, it's just taken on a life of its own. The college, you know, administrators seem a bit almost timid, or maybe even some people would say afraid to do anything about it, in fear that they too would be, you know, canceled and run off campus. So he says the whole thing needs to go. And I've heard that sentiment echoed by others as well.
All right, thank you so much, Darlene Sanchez. Always great to speak with you. Coming up, even higher tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. The Biden administration is reportedly discussing this.
And how's the real estate market these days? Mortgage rates have been going down. We hear from a veteran real estate agent about the prospects for 2024. More in just a moment here on NTD News Today.
The highest art is beautiful, breathtaking, timeless, and moving. Experience art with 5,000 years of history, inspired by the divine. Experience Shen Yun.
We all know that words have power. They set things in motion and make us happy or sad. But there's one word that stands out, because when people say it, lives are changed.
It's not a big word.
It's itsy bitsy. It's only 3 little letters.
But when you say it,
the life of a kid like me can be changed. So, what is this special word? It may surprise you.
it's yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes to becoming a monthly supporter of Shriners Hospitals for Children.
That's right. Your monthly support allows the doctors and nurses at Shriners Hospitals for Children to give the most amazing care anywhere and change the lives of kids like me.
And me.
And me. Because people like you have said yes. Now I can play football.
And I can play catch.
And I can walk. So what do you say? Will you say yes right now?
It's so easy.
All you have to do is pick up the phone or go to loveshriners.org right now and say yes. When you say yes to giving just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a reminder of all the kids you're helping every day. My life is filled with possibility because of the monthly support of people just like you who called the number on your screen and said yes.
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 Your yes is making a difference in my life and the lives of so many other kids like me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving.
Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, call again or go to loveshriners.org to say yes right away.
Welcome back, and joining us now is NTD Business host Don Ma to discuss shipping disruptions in the Red Sea.
Exporters are scrambling to find alternative air, sea, and land routes amid a wave of attacks in the Red Sea. Don, how severe are disruptions to supply chains right now?
Right, that's a very important question, but we have to keep in mind that the attacks have actually disrupted a key trade route that's linking Europe, North America with Asia. So let's keep that in mind. And some experts are saying that the disruptions could be at least 3 months long. So 90 days, and estimates are that rerouting could be adding somewhere around 10 to 12 days of transit time for some shipments, and the consumer goods sector will probably see the bigger impact of this. Major U.S. retailers, including Walmart, Target, IKEA, Macy's, they're all dependent on this route. So that's why I'm saying the consumer goods sector might see some impact. And IKEA has already stated that it's expecting delays and possibly availability constraints for certain products. And oil giant BP and shipping giant Maersk also said they were temporarily suspending their operations in the Red Sea. Some companies that transport products like toys, electronics, as well from Asia have said that they're going to stop sending vessels in that area. But let me put this into a bigger picture for you guys. Despite all the disruptions that we're seeing, most companies that I've seen are saying that this is probably not a dire situation. Most of them are saying either that there are going to be some delays, or actually they're not going to be impacted at all. So I think shoppers shouldn't expect the price of the things they buy to rise that much, if at all. And in my view, it's unlikely that the overall U.S. economy will be impacted too much.
Okay, but there still has been some speculation or worry surrounding how it might impact the shipping costs. So what are we seeing so far about how much it has impacted?
Right, there's definitely an impact to shipping costs. Shipping container scarcity leads to increase in container prices, and the prices here have increased somewhere around 10% for some European locations, and shipping companies are also charging extra fees for anywhere from thousands of dollars, and insurance premiums are going up from $2,000 to $10,000. But energy markets as well, in addition to container prices, have also seen an impact. The price of oil have increased somewhere around 6% this past week, and it's hovering around $80 a barrel. But I think the good news here is that the impact on U.S. consumers at the pump should be minimal. I think consumers probably won't even feel a difference from this disruption to just everyday fluctuations in gas prices. And as far as for container prices, I think they'll probably come down eventually. Some estimates put that between 3 to 9 months. Because there's actually a degree of overcapacity in the container market. Container scarcity caused by the attack won't actually put too much of a dent in this market, and rerouting is expected to only impact a relatively small portion of the overall container capacity.
And what else should our viewers know about the business world today, Don?
Right. It seems like the Biden administration is actually considering increasing tariffs on electric vehicles from China. This is according to the Wall Street Journal, citing people familiar with the matter. The aim here is to further support the U.S. clean energy sector against cheaper Chinese exports. And tariffs have actually helped prevent subsidized Chinese automakers from making inroads into the U.S. market. Other targets for potential tariff rate increases are as well Chinese solar products and EV battery packs. But according to the Wall Street Journal, as of right now, the Biden administration has not decided on the tariffs just yet. And the Better Business Bureau is reporting a surge in gift card scams. Before you buy a gift card this holiday season, here's what to look out for to avoid becoming a victim. First off, check for stickers covering the barcode by running your finger over the back of the physical card. The stickers may actually contain a phony barcode, and when it gets scanned at the checkout counter, you might unwittingly be sending that cash to the scammer's account. So be careful of that. But number two, be careful of websites that check your card's balance. The Better Business Bureau says some sites could use your card's ID number and PIN to drain money from it. That's all from me.
All right, thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Mortgage rates have been going down. How is this affecting the housing market? Jennifer Hammond, a real estate expert with over 25 years of experience, explains. Jennifer Hammond, thank you so much for joining us. Lower mortgage rates are beginning to lure home buyers back to the market. However, few homeowners who have locked in much lower rates appear to be ready to sell right now. Explain for us this dynamic and how it's impacting the housing market.
Well, especially for baby boomers. Baby boomers have a lot of equity in their home, and so they're thinking this is the time to cash out. Whereas, they're wondering, well, where am I going to go? So there's challenges about where they're going to go. But as you just said, interest rates are one of the things that keep people from moving forward sometimes because they can't actually reach the price that they were hoping for. So it's really important to understand. And then, of course, it's just a supply and demand thing of, is there going to be flooding of all of these baby boomers who have so many houses that they want to sell and they're hoping to get tippy top price. And it's not the same price as it was even a year ago.
We talked about baby boomers, but what about Gen Z? What hope is there for them for buying their first home, and what would be your advice to them?
Yes, the baby boomers are interested in selling their house, but some of them are in locations that some of the younger people who are out there buying right now, who are ready to buy, have the finances to buy, they can't, or they're not interested in that location. We go back to one of the basic things about real estate is location, location, location. And if it's not the location that they were hoping for, things shifted a lot also with the pandemic, right? And a lot of people were working from home, but we also uncovered other vulnerabilities, like a food desert. So people only want to live in certain locations. So location, location, location is still key when you're trying to sell your house.
Now, Jennifer, I want to look at this. Home sales this year are on track to be the lowest since at least 2011. Yet according to the Mortgage Bankers Association, mortgage applications have increased for 6 straight weeks on a seasonally adjusted basis. What explains this?
Well, part of it is a lot of people are looking to see what they can afford. So you go and you get a pre-approval and you make your application, and then you get a reality check. Can I afford it or can't I? And then you can also, like I said before, if the interest rates go down, you might be able to afford more home that you weren't able to, and that's enough for you to be able to work from home and to have all the things you want. Or if it's the location you desire, like specifically you want to be in a school district, it's really important to be able to look and see what you can afford. So those applications, they're going to keep rolling in as we try to figure out this new landscape in real estate.
We spoke a bit about boomers, but what about Gen Z? What hope is them for buying a home, their first home, and what would be your advice to them?
Well, my biggest advice is ask the questions that you ask. You should hire a real estate agent to give you professional advice. And I have a free gift. You can go to Realtor17questions.com, Realtor17questions.com. And the best advice is to ask those questions. And those questions help you. It's like a fingerprint. Everybody's so different when they're going to buy and on their buying journey. So ask the questions to make sure you have a professional that can give you advice that'll help you make good decisions in real estate. That's a conversation.
And now I know you don't have a crystal ball, Jennifer, but what does the next year look like in real estate?
I think it's going to be really interesting. I think you're going to see foreclosures come out of the market. We call it the shadow foreclosure market. There's some foreclosures. There are a lot of real estate investors that are coming out of the woodwork because they're seeing deals that they haven't seen in years, and then there's still amazing first-time homebuyer programs. So we're going to see a lot of movement, but it's not just one particular area that's going to benefit from it, or one like a buyer or a seller, and every little area is going to be different. So you have to find out what's going on in your specific area.
All right, Jennifer Hammond, thank you so much.
Switching gears now for some short business headlines. TikTok's parent company, Chinese tech giant ByteDance, has admitted it's using OpenAI's technology to a limited extent to develop its own AI models. OpenAI owns ChatGPT. ByteDance's admission came after OpenAI said it suspended ByteDance's account over questions about how its GPT data was being used.
A ByteDance spokesperson said the company is, quote, licensed by Microsoft to use the GPT application programming interfaces. The Verge reported ByteDance is secretly using OpenAI's technology to train its own large language model in violation of OpenAI's terms of service. ByteDance's ChatGPT-like tool is called Doubao.
The company says it uses only its own self-developed AI model to power Doubao, which is available only in China. An Australian court has fined Airbnb millions of dollars over misleading pricing in that country. The company admitted in court to making false or misleading representations to roughly 63,000 Australian customers between 2018 and 2021.
For those customers, the prices were in US dollars and not in Australian dollars, which are worth less than the greenback. Along with the 15 million Australian dollar fine, Airbnb was also ordered to pay another 15 million to compensate the customers. In total, the fines come out to around $20 million.
Toyota is recalling about 1 million vehicles over a potential problem with the passenger airbag.
The recall covers 15 Toyota and Lexus models, including the Camry, Sienna, and RAV4, as well as Lexus RX 350 and ES 350. The model years are between 2020 and 2022.
Toyota says a sensor in the recalled vehicles could short circuit. The sensor helps identify whether the person sitting in the front passenger seat is an adult or a child based on weight.
Toyota says because of the possible glitch, the airbag may not deploy in certain kinds of crashes.
Bird, the electric scooter rental company found in many U.S. cities, filed for bankruptcy protection yesterday. The Chapter 11 filing will allow Bird to sell off its U.S. assets in the next 3 to 6 months.
The company was founded in 2017 and went public in 2021. It called itself the largest micro-mobility operator in North America.
The e-scooter company was one of the fastest startups ever to reach $1 billion valuation. At its peak, Bird is said to have operated scooter and bicycle sharing operations in 350 cities worldwide. Coming up, Senator Marco Rubio sounding the alarm over flaws in the U.S. export control system. Hear why he's demanding the Biden administration blacklist yet another Chinese microchip firm.
And a remote kingdom in Asia reporting to an unusual way to save its economy. To find out what Bhutan has been doing, we'll have the details soon when we return.
Anyone who's ever sold a home can tell you it is really hard. That's why who you work with matters. Together with HomeLight, we've helped thousands of people sell faster and for the best price.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day just by brushing your teeth.
I never thought that whitening my teeth could be so easy. I just put the gel on the brush, the toothpaste on it, brush, and I can see my white teeth.
Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste, and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth, without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist. And it was about time that a product was developed that you would be able to do that with just brushing.
And now, Smile Actives is even better with new Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power, clinically shown to whiten teeth faster, up to 8 shades. 100% of users saw whiter teeth. On food stains, coffee and wine stains, even on veneers, crowns, and dentures.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Why spend hundreds of dollars for whitening treatments at the dentist when now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth? Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one get one absolutely free for just $24.95. That's 2 for 1 and save 58%. We'll even include free shipping. Get your teeth whiter guaranteed or return it within 60 days for your money back.
I smile every day now.
The difference is literally night and day.
So now I'm always smiling, always choosing, because now my teeth are much whiter.
This offer is not available in stores, so call or click now before the special buy one get one free offer goes away.
Losing the fear of looking foolish comes with age.
Who did you steal him from?
Losing your way in your own home doesn't. Confusion with time and place may be a sign of Alzheimer's.
Mom, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's.
You're American, and then you come home and you're Honduran.
Totally relate to that. Like, it's like double personality kind of thing.
I'm Melina Weisskopf on Capitol Hill, and we are NTD.
At least 15 people were killed in a shooting today in Prague, the capital of the Czech Republic. Dozens were injured. The shooting happened at a university in the city center near popular tourist spots. The attacker has been killed.
Evacuation efforts are ongoing as students took refuge in classrooms during the shootings.
Shootings are rare in the Czech Republic, and the one today shook the nation. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen expressed her condolences following the incident.
Investigations are underway as the community mourns the tragedy.
Senator Marco Rubio is urging the Biden administration to blacklist another Chinese microchip firm. Chip designer Brite Semiconductor was found to be part owned by China's top sanctioned chip maker, SMIC, a corporation restricted from sensitive U.S. tech.
It also offers its chip design services to at least 6 Chinese military suppliers, all while maintaining U.S. investment and without violating any export regulations. NTD's Jeremy Sandberg has more on the senator's call to action.
Brite Semiconductor's second largest shareholder and number 1 supplier, microchip maker SMIC, was added to the U.S. entity list by the Trump administration in 2020. The corporation is barred from importing some advanced AI chips from U.S. suppliers over its apparent ties to Beijing's military. But despite that, Brite still has access to U.S. investors and technology. That includes software from American firms like Synopsys and Cadence Design. A Reuters examination of Brite firm statements, regulatory filings, tenders, and other means found that Brite offers services to at least 6 Chinese military suppliers. Senator Marco Rubio says it shows the U.S.'s current export control scheme doesn't work. The GOP lawmaker urged Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo in a letter on Wednesday to hit Brite with the same restrictions imposed on SMIC, saying swift action is needed now to stop China's chip industrial base from growing stronger. Rubio is also calling for more restrictions on shipments of chip design software to China. Concern over Brite is rising on both sides of the aisle. Democratic Senator Bob Casey points to access to U.S. investors. Silicon Valley-based Norwest Venture Partners has roughly a 13% stake in Brite, largely backed by Wells Fargo, the 4th largest bank in the U.S. Congressman Mike Gallagher, chair of the House Select Committee on the CCP, is also asking the Commerce Department to do more to prevent U.S. technology flowing into China's military. The Reuters report found no evidence that Brite or its U.S. suppliers had violated any U.S. export laws. And Brite might soon access a wider range of investors. The Shanghai Stock Exchange gave the green light this week for Brite to make an initial public offering after delaying its bid to go public over its relationship with SMIC. Jeremy Sandberg, NTD News.
Chinese scientists have created a new inhalable COVID-19 vaccine, looking to replace the injectable version. According to an article published by the Nature journal last Wednesday, it's described as a dry powder aerosol vaccine. NTD's Tiffany Meyer has the report.
Compared to the traditional mRNA jab, the powdered vaccine could significantly reduce transportation and storage costs and does not need to be refrigerated. According to the development team, it reaches deep into the lungs once inhaled. The vaccine has already been cleared for animal trials. It has yet to be tested on humans. The team behind the new vaccine is a Chinese state-run institute based in Beijing, run under the Chinese Communist Party. Last year, China greenlit the world's first inhalable COVID-19 vaccine and exported it to other Asian countries. But experts caution that its safety and effectiveness still need testing. They've also raised concerns about potential undesired inflammation when inhaled by patients. Internet users in the U.S. also raised alarm bells over the new powdered vaccine, questioning whether it could potentially be used as bioweapons by Beijing, and expressing worries about it being placed in America's water systems. We'll bring you an in-depth report soon for more details.
A remote kingdom in Asia resorting to cryptocurrency to save its failing economy.
A new report says Bhutan is secretly running state-backed Bitcoin mines.
A recent report, Forbes said they uncovered at least 4 Bitcoin mines in the Kingdom of Bhutan. The report said they identified the sites using satellite imagery and sources with knowledge of Bhutan's crypto investments. What they found is apparently a multi-million-dollar state-run investment, and it's kept undisclosed from the general public. The Bitcoin mining project started 4 years ago, with the mines believed to be built from 2020 to 2022. Bitcoin mining refers to the process in which miners are rewarded Bitcoins for completing verified transactions on a blockchain. It's an energy-intensive process involving hardware and software. Forbes says the Bitcoin mines are hidden in the mountains. Satellite imagery shows rectangular mining units, data center cooling systems, and high-capacity power lines and transformers. The remote mountain kingdom has been suffering economically since the pandemic. The country relied heavily on tourism, which declined due to the pandemic. Bhutan's economy also suffers from surging emigration numbers and brain drain. The youth unemployment rate was at 29% in 2022.
Up next, residents in Paris are looking to combine yoga with pets. What to know about the puppy yoga class?
One in 5 children worldwide are faced with the reality of living without food. No family dinners, no special treats, no full bellies. All around the world, parents are struggling to feed their children. Toddlers are suffering from acute malnutrition, which stunts their growth. Kids are forced to drop out of school so they can help support their families. COVID, conflict, inflation, and climate have ignited the worst famine in our lifetime. And we're fed up. Fed up with the fact that hunger robs children of their childhood. Fed up with the lack of progress. Fed up with the injustice. Help us brighten the lives of children all over the world by visiting getfedupnow.org. For as little as $10 a month, you can join Save the Children as we support children and families in desperate need of our help. Now is the time to get fed up and give back. When you join the cause, your $10 monthly donation can help communities in need of life-saving treatments and nutrients. Prevent children from dropping out of school. Support our work with communities and governments to help children go from short-term surviving to long-term thriving. And now, thanks to special government grants, every dollar you give before December 31st can multiply up to 10 times the impact. That means more food, water, medicine, and help for kids around the world. You'll also receive a free tote bag to share your support for children in need. Childhood without food is unimaginable. Get fed up. Call us now or visit getfedupnow.org today.
It's a painting that is peaceful. There's a lot of beauty in it. And you forget about whatever you might be worried about.
In the aftermath of Colorado's Supreme Court's decision to keep former President Trump off the 2024 ballot there, we speak with legal analyst and political commentator A. Scott Bolden for insights. He's a former New York Assistant District Attorney and was also chair of the D.C. Democratic Party, and he joins us now. Scott, welcome. As a legal expert and former prosecutor, how do you interpret the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to disqualify Trump from the state's 2024 ballot? And what kind of precedent do you think this might set for future elections?
Well, in Colorado, it'll set the precedent and it'll stand as the law. It is a groundbreaking decision. For the first time in the history of this country, there's been a judicial decision that has indicated that the president of the United States engaged in an insurrection, not only at the federal district court level, but also at the Colorado Supreme Court level, or rather state court level, and as well as the Colorado Supreme Court. So I think it's groundbreaking. The question is, will it hold? This case is going to go to the U.S.
Yeah, so what kinds of legal nuances or constitutional considerations do you think should be weighed in a case like this, where a state court is deciding on a future potential presidential candidate? And next off, so looks like we lost A. Scott Bolden there, but we'll head to the next story. In the capital of France, stressed out residents are looking to combine the relaxing effects of yoga with the warm glow of cuddling a pet. Puppy Yoga Paris is offering special sessions consisting of 20 minutes of yoga and 40 minutes of playing with puppies and kittens. The animals are from local breeders, aged from 6 to 12 weeks. They stay for a few hours, then leave in the evening. The company's founder said that she came up with the idea to address the lack of opportunities for Parisians to own a dog or the lack of time to care for one. The company recently opened another center in Madrid and plans to expand their operations throughout France in the coming year.
It's super nice and relaxing, but with very cute little puppies, it brings even more happiness. It's really too cool. I've never done this, and I love dogs, I love animals, I love everything small and cute.
In Utah, Santa's reindeer are getting some competition as helicopters take to the skies for a unique task. Biologists with the state's Division of Wildlife Resources sent local deer flying into the skies in an effort to keep them healthy.
About 1,200 animals will go through health checks and get fitted with GPS monitors. The deer are assessed for indicators like body fat levels and then released back into the wild.
The airlift is part of several programs aimed at helping mule deer cope with various challenges, including disease, predators, wildlife, and extreme weather conditions.
And a mystical wonderland in Florida. For the 5th year, Fairchild Tropical Botanic Garden offers a unique night garden experience.
After sunset, light installations transform the garden into a mesmerizing jungle world.
At the center of it all is a projection of Archie, a 137-year-old tree that engages visitors by chatting and sharing jokes.
The biggest lesson of my life, I guess for me, It's being here at the Night Garden. And, you know, I've been around for a very long time. And
Archie the talking tree is kind of the main staple that we had now in year 5. You can ask Archie all the questions you like. He has all the answers. He also has plenty of jokes to go around.
Yeah, it's our first time here, so we just brought our children, and they're having a really nice time, as you can see. Especially they love the talking tree because they really believe it's talking to them, so it's great.
All right, and we have been able to get A. Scott Bolden back online here. He's a legal expert and former prosecutor, former chair of the DC Democratic Party. Welcome back, Scott. It's great to see you again. I'm glad we could get you back. Now, from a Democratic standpoint, how do you see the potential impact of this ruling in Colorado on the political landscape, considering the reaction from Republicans? Do you think this could potentially create divisions or unify the country?
Well, the other GOP nominees who are running for president have had a very negative view and are supporting Donald Trump on this decision, that the judiciary should not be deciding who's on a ballot or who's not. But that's exactly what the judiciary is supposed to do. This all depends on whether the U.S. Supreme Court takes up this case on appeal. Will the Colorado State Supreme Court decision stay on the books? Will it last, or will it be reversed by the U.S. Supreme Court? Regardless of whether Trump has appointed 3 conservative justices or not, democracy is in this court system, and democracy is what the Supreme Court will have to decide once it gets there.
And I just want to look more at the political aspect of this. As a former chair of the DC Democratic Party, how do you think this ruling in Colorado could influence the Democratic strategy in regards to the 2024 election, if at all?
Well, I think there'll be other states, as you know, Michigan and Maine and Oregon are taking up similar issues vis-a-vis insurrection, the 14th Amendment, and whether Donald Trump should be on their state ballot. If he's ultimately not on the state ballots, then that could have a significant impact on how many delegates he gets and whether he can get to the number to get the nomination of the RNC. From the Democratic side, the Democrats really want a rematch between Biden and Trump based on polling. Biden can beat Trump according to most polls, notwithstanding how low Biden's numbers are, but we'll certainly have to see, because if there's another Republican nominee for president, our strategy has to be looked at over and over again, and who knows what happens with a younger candidate.
Indeed.
Democrats.
And we're just having you break up there a little bit. We'll head on to the next question. I want to know, from a legal perspective, what kinds of legal nuances or constitutional considerations should we consider or be weighed here, where a state court is deciding on a potential presidential candidate in a case where there's not been any prior actual criminal convictions or charges related to the Capitol breach?
Well, the 14th Amendment under Section 3 doesn't require a finding of a conviction, if you will. This statute goes back to the Civil War days when the Confederate individuals who were never prosecuted, where this was to keep them out of office, if you will, and to say that they could not serve if they served in the Confederacy. So that dog won't hunt as far as an argument is concerned. What's groundbreaking about this is that you have judges sitting and finding that the president engaged in insurrection. As Americans, that should bother all of us. Now, what happens at the Supreme Court, what happens at other states, we'll have to see. But other states, this decision makes it easier for other states like Michigan and Maine and Oregon to make a similar finding. That could affect the number of delegates that Donald Trump gets. It could affect whether he gets nominated by the RNC one way or the other, and whether his competitors for the GOP nomination can make a move on top of raising money and getting endorsements. We'll have to see. Scott, it's going to be an exciting 2024.
It surely will. Lastly, Scott, considering your experience in both the legal and the political realms, how might all these courts' rulings impact the overall perception of justice and fairness and impartiality in these cases, and especially in regards to handling politically sensitive cases?
It'll be up to the U.S. Supreme Court. Many of us who are students of the law want the Supreme Court to take this case up and don't want it to be a 6-3 Republican majority or conservative majority. This is about democracy and insurrection by a president, at least the allegation is. And if the Supreme Court, by a unanimous decision, comes down that he engaged in insurrection, the 14th Amendment applies, and he can't be on the ballot, that would be a big victory for democracy, not just the Democrats, if you will. If it is a partisan vote 6-3 with the Republicans carrying the day, then I think this country loses more confidence in the independence of the judiciary. Remember, it is the only branch that is super independent, because that's where we go to resolve our disputes. The legislative branch and the other branch are certainly partisan.
Thank you so much. A. Scott Bolden, great to speak with you.
Thank you for having me and getting me back.